Another chapter has opened in the long yet unsettling shadow of disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein. Democrats on the House Oversight Committee have released a fresh batch of photographs from the estate of the convicted sex offender. And once again, the images are raising more questions than answers. Altogether, 68 photos were released with no given timelines and very little context. Nevertheless, what they do show still tells a story. Among them are photos featuring some of the most high-profile names in global politics, business, and culture. Billionaire Bill Gates appears twice, photographed with women whose faces have been blacked out. It remains unclear who the women are or even whether they're the same person. Now, Gates has previously said he regrets his association with Epstein, explaining that he met him only in hopes of raising funds for global health initiatives.
It was a huge mistake to spend time with him, to give him the credibility of being there. I had several dinners with him, hoping that what he said about getting billions of philanthropy for global health through contacts that he had might emerge. When it looked like that wasn't a real thing, that relationship ended.
Also included is Noam Chomsky. Two released images show Epstein seated beside the renowned linguist and public intellectual on what appears to be an aircraft. Chomsky had previously acknowledged knowing Epstein and meeting him occasionally. Other familiar faces appear in the newly released images as well, including filmmaker Woody Allen, former Trump strategist Steve Bannon, and Google co-founder Sergey Brin, who's also seen standing next to New York Times columnist David Brooks. Now, none of the latest pictures included President Trump. However, a few pictures released last week showed Donald Trump, who later said that everybody knew this man and it was not a big deal.
I haven't seen it, but I mean, everybody knew this man. He was all over Palm Beach. He has photos with everybody. I mean, almost, there are hundreds and hundreds of people that have photos with him. So that's no big deal. I know nothing about it.
This week, White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles, in an interview with Vanity Fair, also acknowledged that President Trump is also in the DOJ files linking Jeffrey Epstein.
Trump was on Epstein's plane. He's on the manifest. They were, sort of young, single, whatever. I know it's a password, but sort of young, single playboys together.
Now, the committee's been very careful to stress one key point. Appearing in these photographs does not imply wrongdoing. In fact, the images, Democrats say, were released to provide transparency. Still, context is very thin. Some photos show passports and identity documents from multiple countries, many of which are marked female with personal details heavily redacted. And then there are some disturbing images as well, such as a screenshot of text messages from an unknown recipient who said, quote unquote, "They will send you girls now." Perhaps the most disturbing is a photograph of a woman's foot bearing a handwritten quote from Vladimir Nabokov's novel, Lolita. It's a novel centered on the sexual exploitation of a child. Now, Republicans who control the Oversight Committee accuse Democrats of cherry-picking material to shape a political narrative. However, Democrats insist they're releasing material as it arrives while protecting victims. And this is only a fraction of what they say exists. The committee holds nearly 95,000 images, and the latest editions are not the long-awaited Epstein files. Yet all eyes will turn to the Department of Justice, which is expected to release its full trove of Epstein-related records today, a moment that could finally bring clarity or deepen the controversy even further.
I was born into privilege, but I sold myself as the voice of the poor. I led a revolution in the mountains and marched into Havana as a hero. I promised freedom, equality, dignity. What I built was a one-party state. I survived invasions, embargoes, and enemies, but my people survived shortages in silence. Some called me El Comandante. History calls me something else. A dictator. Who am I?